And it is Friday, the 4th of April. It is 12:17. We have just made it to the store. Again, don't have dogs. Just don't have dogs. So because we are at the local Elite League game tonight, we've had to bring the dogs into the store. So they've got a bit of company for today, which means that they've obviously got a wee bit of time tonight where they're going to be on their own. So we're going to go outside and have a wee look. Well, actually, maybe need to go and pick up one of the pups. That might help. Yes, these two pests are here, and this grumpy thing is here. Look at the sun, it's splitting the trees again. Another glorious day in Scotland, eh? Who would have thought? Usually it's always like grey and wet and stuff like that, but it's actually quite sunny today, which is quite a strange concept. So anyway, we'll get the shutter up and get on the way and see what today brings. So first job of today, we've got a pair of seals, Bellis, Pulse. And literally what's happened is the steel is slightly more watered in the middle and the crystals not getting the balance point. So what I did is I flattened the blade out just a little bit in this section here. I'll just show you here. Just along there, just to give them a little bit more purchase on the ice. Now if you're wondering why there is oil in between or why they're wet, the reason why I do that is I put oil on both of the steels to hold them together, and then I put them into the skate holder, and then I run them through at the same time so the two of them are identical. I don't like the aspect of having to do them one at a time because then it gives user error. So one will be a different size than the other, so that's why I do it that way. That's just the way I do it. I don't know if other people do it that way, but this is the way I do it. So anyway, that's him now being flattened off. They just need sharpened, and then I can send the customer on his road, and then he can come back and let me know how these skates are feeling when he's on the ice the next time. So it's now 1:30 in the afternoon. It's been relatively quiet today. Again, we've had how many sharpenings? We had Liam in for his sharpening, we had Stevie in for his sharpening, we've had a couple of customers in for collections, and we had a lovely customer who brought me Empire biscuits. How good is that? It's obviously because we've heard that she's been watching the videos before and she's heard me mention about Cakey Puck, and obviously Claire.
There's a competition on now!
There's a competition on now between Claire and this customer that came in. So the lovely wee customer came in and got us a wee Empire biscuit, which is brilliant.
She's just beaten Claire. Sorry, Claire. Because she brought you Empire biscuits.
The way you're holding them, it doesn't look as if it's Empire biscuits.
She brought you Empire biscuits.
That might be a wee bit better, Pamela.
But saying that, Claire did bring you fairy cakes.
And a full cake. Oh.
And a full cake. Oh!
Did you hear that? Did you hear that there?
You said cake.
Yes, so as we said before, the pups are in the store today. You would think they were hard done to, but they're not. But they've got so bored they've decided to drown one of their toys.
Not bored, they've been sleeping.
Yeah, what are you saying, cheeky? They're getting off a big. So yes, they are here today and they've been well behaved so far. So I'm no doubt sure that they're going to have to go for a walk at some point. But it's relatively quiet.
After their cake?
Yeah, after their cake apparently. But apparently it's very, very quiet at the moment. Hopefully it'll get a little busier in the forthcoming hours that we are here. Usually find on a Friday there's a slight lull anywhere between 1:30 and 2:30. I definitely think the pups have started to wake up because they know that there's biscuits on the go. If I rattle this again, just a little bit, and just wait a couple of seconds, you might actually hear them. Maybe not. Anyway, right, I'm going just now. We'll go and see if we can get some other stuff fixed. I'm actually in the process of updating my computer. That's the reason why there was a catastrophic failure. It's been a Windows computer and it's one of these ones where it has to have 42 million updates every other week. So every time that you turn the thing on, it updates, but because it's an older machine, it's taking a little time. I actually don't really use it that often, but when I do use it, I don't get to use it because there's updates. I thought I'd come and say a wee piece about something that happened just recently. We had a figure skate customer claiming that they came to our store to get their skates sharpened, and they said that we damaged their skate blades. I have been sharpening skates for over 14 years and I have never damaged a figure skate blade. I know exactly how to sharpen figure skates and I'm going to show you right now. So the email in question that we got was basically stating that we had taken the rocker off of the figure skate, but we had also rounded off the heel. So in this area here, apparently there's a divot that went the wrong direction, and then this was rounded off like a hockey boot. That's not how you sharpen figure skates, and that's never how I'll sharpen a figure skate. I'm going to set you up nice and slowly here. I'm not going to put you on time lapse, I'm going to show you in real time how I do a figure skate. So first off, do a wee touch test at the toe, do a wee touch test at the back, a wee touch test in the middle, just to see how we're doing. Then we come on at the toe, and nice and smooth the whole way through. So that's one pass. That's how I would do a figure skate. As you can see, there was no way that I rockered the heel, so I'm going to set you back up and finish off. So there you have it. Nice high polish finish on the blade. Yeah, so as I said, the customer in question had emailed, and the email was quite very to the point, and it basically stated that we had damaged our skates, which when we asked for photographic evidence of that, needless to say, there was no email back. So welcome to the future. It is Monday the 7th of April, and I have had a reply actually since this recording has been made. We actually had a look at the email earlier on, myself and Pamela. Pamela is in her bed. It is right now, it is 11:25 PM, so she was not feeling the greatest today, so she decided to go for another night. So the situation with this one is the skater in question has basically came to us and said that there was a problem with the skates, and when we asked for photographic evidence, we got a photo or a couple of photos of the skate. Where I was talking about near the front, near the toe pick having the divot, there is a noticeable divot in the actual skate, which I can tell you right now is not me that's done this. Then further down, she said that in the kind of middle area of the blade there was apparently another divot. That is actually not a divot, that is actually where she stood on something. Basically, if you look at the actual picture of the blade, the hardened steel area is very contoured and uniform the whole way down the blade, so it doesn't look as if the rocker has been damaged in any way, shape or form by myself. But this part is going to go in between to kind of let you guys know that this has been looked at, and it has been determined that it's not been us that's made the issue with the blade. So we are going to move on from it, try and keep as positive as possible. Sorry about the kind of dodgy camera work. I'm using a DSLR tonight, and I'm using it by hand. This aspect of vlogging is a lot different. We wish the customer all the best with regards to their sharpening journey, if they can get them sharpened elsewhere. Pamela and I have actually said that we were willing to work with the customer to fix their steels. I'm not 100% sure that that's going to be the case. The reason for that is the customer won't be very forthcoming with who the other store is, not so that we can come on here and slander them in any way, shape or form. It's more an aspect of she won't come forward to tell us who it is, so we can then speak to them personally and see if there's a way round about trying to fix what they think is the issue. As far as we're concerned, we've done everything the correct way with the customer's skates. We've sharpened them and followed the contour of the actual blade and not flattened it in any way, shape or form. So that's just obviously a quick update on how this situation has been. So it could be something as silly as there has been a mistake made by someone else and we're getting the blame of it, or it could be someone that is openly trying to get extra additional business and but get them to buy an additional set of steels from them. We're waiting for some more information from the person that's emailed us to see how we're going to progress with this one, if we're going to progress with this one. But as far as I'm concerned, the matter is finished with and it won't be going any further. I am confident in my abilities when it comes to skate sharpening. I know I am one of the better ones in Scotland that do skates, and when you have someone claiming or making accusations that your sharpenings aren't up to scratch, I can tell you that I definitely know that they are, specifically considering the fact of the amount of Elite League and ex-NHL players' skates that I've sharpened over the years of being in the store. There were certain NHL players or ex-NHL players that would only get their skates done here. They would not get them done elsewhere and nobody else would be able to touch them. Now, bearing in mind 14 years of experience of skate sharpening, yes, there can sometimes be issues with skate steels and skate blades, but not with this one. Pamela, do you want to say anything on this one?
She complained that we had destroyed her rocker and then told us we had rockered them too much. So I don't really understand how we can do both. So I'm just trying to do some research, because I'm not a figure skater, on what exactly her complaint is, so that I can understand if we have done anything, which I don't think we have, but I'm just trying to understand the situation a lot better.
Could you do me a favour and get us this figure skate? I'm going to show you just quickly what, from the email, what I am actually surmising. She stated that the rocker had been taken off. Now, we've had a multiple pairs of skates. See if you hold the blade up the other way. Yeah, so we've had multiple pairs of skates in the last couple of weeks where what's happening is whoever's sharpening them elsewhere is holding on too long here, and you're getting a divot here and then you're getting a bump. So it goes down and back up and along. So if you actually look at the figure skate itself, most of the better sharpeners will be able to touch on here and come along and sharpen the skate and follow the shape of the steel. Now, what has been stated is there is a divot here that goes the wrong direction, so it would be going like a U shape here, and then the heel has been rockered off like a hockey boot. That's not anything that we would do, because again, I know what I'm doing when it comes to skate sharpening, or I'd like to think I know what I'm doing when it comes to skate sharpening, especially after 14 years. I know that there'll be somebody out there that'll be a keyboard warrior that will say, oh, well, I think you could learn more. Every day is a school day. We'll see if anything comes of this, if there's any correspondence or if there's any more further emails. One of the things is if we were in that situation and we had caused the damage, we would be willing to help out as much as possible. But in this situation, we know we haven't caused the damage. All we have done in the last 3-4 months is fix sharpening bodges that's been happening elsewhere. There's no training given to anyone in the UK for skate sharpening, apart from when one of our suppliers put on a Blade Master event, which I attended, which is where I got that from, the Blade Master certificate of training. Now, you probably just seen there just now, it's behind my computer screen and it looks a bit dusty and dirty, and that was one of the things that we saved from the fire a couple of years back. But anyway, I think that's me pretty much happy in the knowledge that I have done nothing wrong with these skates, and I'm quite happy to say that if the customer does come back and would like me to try and fix whatever mistake has been made elsewhere, I will try my best. So that is 4:53 in the afternoon. It's been a relatively quiet day today. It was, I'd say, consistent with sharpenings again, but it's not really that consistent. It's not really as busy as it has been in the last couple of weeks. The skates came in for a full re-rivet, so they had to be full re-riveted and sharpened, and then another 3 or 4 sharpenings came in at the time, so I didn't get my lunch until nearly 4 o'clock, or technically my breakfast until 4 o'clock. But anyway, that's us finished for today. Apologies on the quite kind of slow vlog. Hopefully it'll be busier tomorrow, and hopefully there'll be more stuff in tomorrow. If not, then I'll see what else there is I can record for you guys. What's happening, guys? It is 12:47 on Saturday. It is the 5th of April. Today, so far, I have Brodie Kay skates have came back over from Fife. I've got 3 sets. I've got his skates here and his other steels sitting on the actual tabletop. He's decided that what he was going to do is go for 1/2 inch over all 3, because I gave him the option to go 5/8, 3/8 and 1/2 inch, or 5/8, 1/2 inch and 3/8. So he's decided that he likes the 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do now is set up the steels and get going. So it's 2:01 and we've had a new repairing. So this is a pair of True Customs and there is a tendon guard fix on one of them. I think it's this one here. The tendon guard has came loose, so I'm going to have to put something through there, whether it's a copper rivet, one of them, or I'm going to probably put helmet screws through it, because the helmet screws just seem to hold a little bit better. And I've obviously had an issue, or the customers had an issue with their eyelets as well. They reckon that their eyelets are not working properly, and what I mean by that is they are absolutely destroying laces. So I'm going to have a wee check of the eyelets to see what one, or if there's any of them that have to be replaced. The rest of them I'm going to press just exactly the same way that I did with Scott's last week. I can see one eyelet, 2 eyelets straight away that are absolutely going to destroy laces. I don't know if you can see that here. This part here is extremely rough, but we'll see if we can get that sorted. I'm going to come out and say hello to Pamela first. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
How's your day been so far?
Busy.
So
Busy.
what's been in, what's been out?
Mostly figure skates again. Lots of figure skates, a couple of sticks. Lots of inquiries for the summertime. We had kids coming in with parents, usually for a sharpener on their skates, but starting to get measured, starting to figure out when to buy the new skates, how long till I wait for them coming in, what's the new models, get the sizing. But I've always said, if you're wanting new skates for the new season, let's look at it in July or August time, because kids do a lot of growing over the kind of summer months, and you don't want to measure them now and they jump a whole size and they're too small. So I always say, if the skates are okay and they're not crippling their feet, make do and mend until we get to July and August, and then we can revisit it again. So lots of parents really appreciate that. So yeah, that's really mostly what we're doing today.
So what other advice would you give parents?
Don't ever get involved in hockey.
She's obviously joking.
No.
She's saying that she's joking. I'm saying she's joking. She's probably not joking, but specifically with our kids, Sarah, we bought Sarah a full kit, and then obviously she lasted one shot on the ice, and she's like, "No, take me to the vending machine. I'd rather eat crisps than play on a tablet." That's just Sarah, but she likes to be outside. She likes to do other things, but hockey's just not her thing. And obviously, our brother Sam is absolutely wired to the moon. So he's a different level of difficult at times, but he's a hockey player through and through. I would like to say about that one.
Yeah, he was talking about these hockey skates on this morning in the house.
Getting used to them.
Getting used to them. He was tap dancing on my last nerve. Advice to parents: kids don't need the top end stuff. Don't matter who you are or what you say, they do not need top end equipment. Kids grow far too fast for you to go and spend £300 on a stick that's going to be short in 6 months' time, or $950, or some people buy custom skates for their kids and they grow out of them in about 3 minutes flat. Kids don't need that. They really don't need that. Yes, they might need a better model than the entry level stuff, I get that, but you don't need to be spending Mac prices or XF Pro prices or whatever the model, the thing that they all want to wear. You don't need to pay that price for your kids to skate in. The places I would always say to invest on a decent level, doesn't have to be top end model: head, helmet, very, very, very important. Get a good, well protected helmet. Skates, match your stiffness to your skates to your skill level on the ice. If you can overboot yourself, even in hockey boots, where the boot's too stiff to allow forward flex. We've dropped Sammy into a slightly softer boot for the summer so that he can learn his edges a little bit more, so that he can learn to stop. He's in a slightly softer boot to see how he gets on. We're just kind of playing with different things to help him be able to stop.
So I'm going to step into this one and say that when we put Sam in the other skates, it was the ASVs, the ASV Pros for the youth size. We put him in a 3.8 because obviously on the research, while Pamela's absolutely making hundreds of racket looking in our dolly mixtures, yes, we basically decided that we were going to put it on most of the literature that basically states what sharpen you should have your kid on height and weight. He should have been on a really kind of sharp sharpening or a sharp depth. So we put him on a 3.8 and then he was struggling. He was perfectly fine with that. So we started actually on a 1/2 inch and then we moved him up to the 3.8 because he wasn't getting enough bite on the 1/2 inch. Then he got used to the skates and we started ramping it down a little bit. So, and when I say that, it's no longer a 3.8. He's now skating on 7/8 and that is literally near enough flat. He's 1 away from an inch. If he goes to an inch, he's literally on a flat grind, and that's what we are looking at putting him on next. And the reason for that is he's still struggling to stop. The skate that he's moved to is slightly softer, so because he's moved to a slightly softer skate, I'm hoping that obviously he's then going to have a little bit more control over the skate, and the boot is not going to stop him from getting over on his edges a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, see if you watch the little man. The little man's got really good edge control. He's good at doing his crossovers and other things, but just stopping just still isn't coming yet. Even though I've been on the ice with him and tried to show him how to do a snowplow and how to stop and stuff like that, he's picking up everything else, but he's just unable to stop at the moment. So hopefully with that 7/8, even maybe that inch grind, he'll be able to stop. The only thing that you then find is sometimes in a straight line he looks a little bit wobbly. Are you serious? Yeah, this is what you have to contend with. Pamela with her sweets.
Came and spoke to me halfway through my dolly mixture.
What other advice have you got? You said about the helmet, and you said about what else would you go for and not overbooting. What else would you say that is imperative that you spend the money on?
As your child moves up the skill level, so as they get to play a more contact game, I would always say better shorts. But that's when they're starting to hit it, to be able to hit and take hits.
So it's under 14s, under 16s.
Under 14s, under 16s, you want a better short so that they protect them, protect the hips when they're going in for the kind of checks. In my opinion, people will probably come at me, elbows are elbows and shins are shins, doesn't matter whether they're entry level or top end, they're going to effectively do the same job.
I would argue with that one. So where I would say that you don't need to spend a lot of money on your shoulder pads, you don't have to have the biggest, boldest, like amazing top of the range. You can get away with a Sherwood entry level or a Sherwood 50-30 shoulder pads. It doesn't really make a difference for me. I mean, again, the size and build of me, I actually don't wear shoulder pads. When we have played contact at training before, yes, I maybe put my old Hespler harness on, but the Hespler harness was like an intermediate, or I say an intermediate, it was like a mid, it was like a mid-range kind of shoulder pads. You don't need to spend mega bucks on that. If you look at most of the guys that are playing in the SNL, most of the guys that are playing in the SNL are probably skating with a bottom end shoulder pads or a mid-range shoulder pads. So elbow pads, that's what I was saying about elbow pads. I would like to have better elbow pads because if you're falling and your elbow pads are moving and stuff like that, you're looking for something with a decent lock strap. It doesn't have to be the top of the range. I'd probably say mid to high for elbow pads. Sorry, ADHD went ahead there.
Took over. Yeah, we have discussed the equipment.
So you've said about your helmet, you've said about your elbow pads, your shins. You say that you don't necessarily need to have the top of the range shins. I would probably say I would agree with that because the shins that I use aren't top of the range. They are second or third top of the range and they've lasted really well.
Am I doing this or are you doing this?
Well, it's hard enough to try and get you to say anything, and then when you do say something, it's...
You take over!
It's and buts and basics's and... Come on. What else? So what would you suggest shin-wise?
Depends on the level that you're playing at. For a learn-to-play child, playing under 10s, potentially 12s, they're looking for something to protect their knees when they kneel on the ice, or as Sammy does, skate along in his belly. That's all you're really looking for the shin to protect you against. They're not going to be shooting the puck at any particular speed for it to be, you're needing the extra padding or the extra liners. You're just needing something to protect the leg.
When you get to my kind of size and build, you usually find that most of the shin pads that are available are mid to high. They don't usually put you in like an entry level. Most of the entry level shins only go up to maybe a 15 or a 16. You are very, very lucky to find some of the shins that go up to a 17 nowadays, and there is some that go up to an 18, but you usually find that they are pro stock and they are few and far between, like hen's teeth. So what else would you suggest? So gloves wise, what would you suggest? Would you say that an entry level pair of gloves is enough to get you by, or would you say that you would maybe be looking for something that was mid level?
Depends on the level that you're playing at. If you're playing rec or learn to play and there's not an awful lot of contact, you know, for kids that grow very fast, you don't need this all singing all dancing equipment. The entry level gloves that come, they're really comfortable, they wear well, they do the job, and by the time they don't fit, the kids, you know, by the time they've disintegrated, the kids are in a different size anyway. When you get to be an adult, I guess comfort becomes more of a play. And with rec level hockey, there's a lot of slashing because there's no contact, so there's a little bit more.
They're a lot more stick happy.
Stick happy. So you maybe want a little bit more protection.
If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to put the fans off because you randomly just leave doors opened and fans on and all that kind of stuff.
One fan.
That's over there. Over there, you can see there's number 2 fan.
You maybe want a wee bit more protection in you, and then protection on your back of your hand, the PE inserts, some more plastic inserts, some more protection. It depends on the skill level, I guess.
So my thing was, is if you can get it, if you're ever looking for equipment, you're probably looking for last year's top end if you can pick it up cheaper. Again, you don't necessarily need to get last year's top end or the previous seasons or the previous models top end. You can always get away with a mid-range glove. Now, originally when CCM, when they released their top end FT range gloves or their top end tax gloves, anytime I was looking at any of the kind of gloves, it was usually the 7 range, which was like the second top or the third top of the range. That's what I would usually use. I have had quite a lot of top end gloves over the last little while, and I tend to find that I prefer the kind of mid to high glove. The reason for that is that anywhere from second and third in the range provides enough protection for me and gives me enough mobility. If you then start going into your top end gloves become very restrictive with flex thumb locks and stuff like that. Specifically, if you like to open your hand up, if you're going to choke somebody to death at one edge, if that's your thing. But for me, I just like to be able to open my hand up, so if I'm going to push somebody, I'm not pushing them with a closed fist and it's going to be construed as throwing a punch, due to the fact that obviously in the rec league over here, if you throw a punch, you're banned for 5 games or 2 months, whatever's longest. So if you're pushing someone in any way, shape or form, not necessarily in a fight way, it's just like obviously if you're pushing someone away through your front of your net, or you bump into somebody and give them a wee push to kind of guide them on their way, you don't want to have your hand in a fist. So I also like to be able to open my hand up. If I'm going to open my hand to try and grab my stick when I'm going from one hand to 2 hands on the stick, it's usually a lot easier. I'm probably rabbiting on a little bit now, so I'm going to go and have a look at these true skates and see what I can get done. Right, so having a quick look at these skates, the true ones, finding that the top eyelets are really, really raggedy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them out and replace them. I've also done a helmet screw repair with a nut and a bolt on this one because it just seems to be the easiest, best way for me to keep them in. I've found a couple of times when you put the copper ones through, they just don't go through well enough and they tend to bend the copper because it's such an awkward position to try and put it in here. A lot of times it's dead easy, other times it's really kind of awkward, and they seem to be as if they're slightly awkward. I don't know if that's just because it's a pro custom pair, but anyway, the next plan of action is just to try and get the eyelets done, so I'll set you up in a quick time lapse and I'll get the eyelets done. After that, I'm going to have a wee look at pressing the rest of the eyelets out. I'll premise this one. I'm going to take the eyelets out that are ragged and then replace them and then press the rest of the eyelets, because I think the rest of the eyelets are slightly moving. So because they're slightly moving, I don't want that to be a case where it's going to pull through the skate. I've had this before with a friend of mine who who still actively plays Elite League. He got his skates and the first top 3 eyelets started becoming loose, and then what happened with the top 3 eyelets, it basically came right through. So consistently It's happened twice or three times on his top end custom pairs, and they've all had to be sent back, and now he's no longer skating in Trues, which is unfortunate because I think True as a brand is quite a good brand. I definitely think when you go down the custom route, the aspect of how the skate is made very, very sturdily. It's obviously made to your specifications. I would like to try a pair myself at some point, but at the moment, because I'm only playing rec, is it worth it? Probably not. The amount that I go through skates, would it be worth it? Again, I don't know. Because of the fortunate position that I'm in with regards to suppliers and stuff like that, I can pick up skates that are slightly cheaper. I can obviously find different models and brands and stuff like that to try as well. I would like to try different models and brands. That's why obviously I'm waiting on a pair of graph skates coming. So currently that would mean that I would have my 3 pairs of skates that I would have once I have them is the M5 Pros at the moment, a pair of Hazardous 9X and a pair of the Graph Ultra Cs if and when they appear. If they don't appear at any time and they don't come into stock at any time, it's not a great big deal for me. I can find something different if I have to, but I've got enough pairs of skates at the moment to get by with. And that's obviously a funny situation to say because I'm someone that at one point had 12 pairs of skates and then had a fire sale and got rid of all of them, or gave away a lot of skates as well, specifically to a couple of the ambassadors that obviously played juniors round about. I had gave a couple of pairs of skates to them because they were on the taller side and the bigger side when it comes to feet wise. It's 4:26 in the afternoon on Saturday. It had the busy period right at the start of the shift, and then it's kind of went to a kind of afternoon lull. So we've had a few people in for skate sharpenings in the pairs. Obviously the last thing you probably would have seen would have been the True tendon repair and the eyelets. I time-lapsed the eyelets, but I didn't time-lapse anything else with regards to that one, just because it was busy at the time. I had other customers waiting for sharpenings, so that took priority. The most exciting thing we did was we watched the Grand National, which was obviously a horse race, which is the one of the most kind of prestigious ones that happens in the UK. So we obviously had a little flurry on that one to see if we could win a little bit of money, but I don't know how we placed. I think my horse came second. I'm not 100% sure.
Still trying to work out any of mine.
I think one of my horses is still running, or it could be dog meat by now. But I don't know.
Can't say that.
Yeah, I can.
Poor horses.
I know. So anyway, what else have you been up to today?
I've been having to work out our gift card system for Cody. Thanks, Cody, because Cody's dad had bought my gift card for his Christmas, and that's Cody getting around to using some of it. But he'd used it in store and I couldn't work out how to change it, so I figured it. We're fixed.
How long have you had this system?
Just not even a year yet.
So this system's not even a year, but we've had this for how long?
Well, that can work, but they don't talk to each other.
Why do they not talk to each other?
Because it costs us £120 a month if we want them to talk to each other.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm not paying £120 a month for them just to talk to each other.
That's probably it for today. I don't think there's going to be any mad rushes in before 5 o'clock, so it is 4:28 and that's us done for today. We actually might have some extra footage or some bonus footage on this one. If not, it might be on the next video of Lewis and his figure skates. That didn't exactly go according to plan.
You do what?
Another one there, back in there.
Yeah. What?
But at the same point, we'll see how that goes as well, and we'll keep you updated. So like, share and subscribe if you like this content. Thank you very much for watching. Keep it cold-blooded.